Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Hey Sam, how you going?
Hello. I'm good. I'm Sam. Nice to meet all of you.
Where
Lovely to
are
meet
you,
you.
Sam?
I'm from New Zealand, yeah.
Where are you?
Nice.
Where in New Zealand?
What city?
Auckland, yeah.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
our old home.
Yeah. A place close to your heart, I'm assuming.
Very close.
First off, lovely to meet all of you. I just want to say I've seen the first 3 episodes. Very, very cool. Like, just wow factor. The end of episode 2, it's like, wow. I mean, you get to the end of episode 3 and you're like, where is this going? What's happening? It's really exciting, and I just congratulations. Really enjoying it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess one question I want to ask first off is, really Lord of the Rings, the second season, seems to be a lot about creativity and the power to both, destroy and create. And I just want to get your opinion on how do you see the idea of that theme of creativity playing out in the second season?
Oh.
It's really cool observation, and not one I actually have made myself. I think it's really good because the whole thing is about inspiration and creativity, right? Celebrimbor and Sauron making rings. And from my perspective, I come to Celebrimbor because I need him. And that's what's really cool about that aspect of the story. It's not just like Sauron is pulling the strings and Celebrimbor is doing what he wants. I think Sauron needs Celebrimbor as much as Celebrimbor needs Sauron. And their creativity combines and their love of art and craft, and they make these rings which then in turn destroy the lives of everyone else.
Yeah. And in terms of sort of the second season, I think is really exploring that sort of the dark side. Like in season 1 it was all about heroes and everything like that. But I think in the second season we're really exploring this dark side, and that's a rarity in fantasy works. It's normally all about the heroes and overcoming evil. But how do you think audiences will react to this sort of dark side, the exploration of that?
I mean, I think that's really interesting. Charlie said something in a previous interview, which I hadn't quite thought about before, of it's rare that you see kind of, as you also just said, like a villain's journey or someone who we perceive to be a villain. And in some ways, something that surprised me watching the first couple of episodes is that I actually did feel a bit of empathy for Sauron, even though he's a horrendous character and he's so awful.
Horrendous character. Hang on.
Horrendous.
Like he's done some horrendous things, and he will, right? But there is something that I think will intrigue audiences, and that's that you sometimes you don't want to, but you can't help but feel that there's more to what he's doing, and you really see that. Yeah,
it's cool because often the big bad is locked away in a whatever kind of film or TV show. They're locked away in a cave, and you see them come out and be evil. But this is quite interesting because you see a lot of the story from Sauron's perspective in the same way that you see it from Nori's perspective, even though she's a heroic character. So I think that's a really cool way it's set up.
I think I also want to point out that there's also another kind of Dark Lord in Adar, which is something that's really great to dive into because he's kind of one of those characters that's in the grey area. He's he can be seen as evil, but I feel like at heart he's just trying to do what's best.
And you see that towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah. Well, you sort of got that where he's trying to do well by his people, which I thought was interesting because it will, Peter Jackson's work and even in Tolkien, you never sort of get the perspective of the orcs, but from Adar's point of view, he's like, well, these are my people. They might be monsters, he's still trying to do right by them, which I thought was very interesting, an interesting perspective and different in a fantasy setting because, we normally don't get stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one thing I was really looking at is, we've got the lovely Charlie here, but I guess how did you guys think of seeing him now as the most evil of evil protagonists?
I mean, it's easy to imagine.
Rolled up.
No, it's actually kind of like really weird because like Charlie's like the nicest guy, like at heart. But like when you see him on screen, there's just something in his eyes that's like, damn, I don't want you to look at me. Like there's just, I don't know what he does or what it is, but I think it's just a testament to how great he is as a performer.
Thanks,
Yeah. No, it's cool.
It's cool.
No, I was just gonna say it's really it's amazing seeing his what he's done with Halbrand in season 1 and then how he transforms in season 2 as well. It's pretty special to watch.
I mean, he's got great hair as Annatar.
Beautiful blonde hair.
Great.
Yeah.
Great look.
Very
I like it. And speaking of Annatar, like watching him, I got this really kind of David Bowie meets Ian Curtis kind of vibe. And so I was wondering, like, if Annatar had his own band, like, would he run like his own 80s metal, hair band, or would he be more into the EDM scene? Like, where do you think he would?
Nah, he would. I mean, I get the EDM thing, but I think definitely 80s metal. And it was actually a big, you say it, it's funny, but it was a big problem developing the camera, developing the character. When we were doing it, like, every time I tried on a new wig and developing the hairstyles, I just looked like I was in an 80s metal band. And genuinely, this was like, we can't do this. We would send photos to the showrunners of like the hair down, and they were like, we can't, because he just looks like he's in a metal band.
It's the next role.
Yeah. No, it was very. No, I really like the hair. Also, got to say, Charlie, as well, with Annatar, he's a very seductive character, and you think about sort of the designings of evil, devilish characters, and they're not normally 100% evil. There's normally a seduction, like if you look at, say, Hannibal Lecter, or Washington and Training Day. There's this kind of seductive quality to them. How do you really bring that out and tease that out into the story? Because you see that with Celebrimbor, it's like this idea of forbidden knowledge, and it's very seductive. And just wondering if you could, explore a little bit of that about the seductive cop.
The seduction has to be genuine, and I think that's where I approached it. Is I understand that the character serves the story by being evil, but as an actor, I think the only way I could approach it was to be 100% genuine with everything I do, because that's almost scarier in the sense that if you're being kind to someone, you're listening to them, you're being open, that is where the real deception comes in. And that is Sauron. Sauron is the ultimate deceiver. That's him in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And it all comes from, he genuinely thinks that the Middle Earth will be a better place if he could be in charge. He wants to rehabilitate. That's Tolkien talked about, this rehabilitation that Sauron sought of Middle Earth, and he thinks like everyone's at war. There's people are scattered. It's just in a bad way, and if everyone just listened to me and did what I wanted, it would be a very harmonious place to live. And that's the way I approached the character, and I think the seduction is a big byproduct of trying to be genuine with it.
So he's almost like, I'm going to create new growth, but even if I've got to wipe everything out, there'll be new growth coming from that. But
exactly. It's like short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yeah.
I get that. Interesting point of view. Maybe not good for the half-hoods, but
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Well, and going on to the half, so Markella, I really like where we're going in season 2, especially with Rhûn, and something very different from what we've seen in Lord of the Rings. When you think of Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, you think of a very European style setting, but we're in the desert. I'm just wondering how that sort of landscape you think is going to impact audiences and their response to season 2 going forward, because you're like, oh wow, they're here, and there's it's quite desolate in the in those first couple of episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really amazing. We filmed that in Tenerife, and it was a new experience for me. I'd never been there before, and also for Nori, she's never been that exposed before, just geographically. She's always been with her family, and they've always had to be quite discreet about where they are. So I think I was just channeling this kind of curiosity that I had when I was in Tenerife, and tried to channel that into
What's that over there?
Yeah. And so I think that hopefully audiences will feel that, because we were, I think at one point a news crew thought we were like Star Wars or something.
Star Wars.
And so we were alone, and people didn't really know we were there. And so we were kind of isolated, and in certain parts of Tenerife that no one else was filming in at the time. So I hope that audiences do feel that, and do feel the heat and the dust and the sand and everything. I hope that they feel as immersed in that world as we did at the time.
Yeah. And in terms of, obviously, she's a traveller and, you need your playlist. So we're talking with magic. If you could magically send a MP3 player back into Middle Earth somehow, I'm sure there's a way to do it, talk to the stranger. But what would your sort of 3 cracks for Nori be? Like, what would you gift her to help you get through?
I mean, I do have a playlist for Nori, but I'm going to kind of keep that a little secret. But there was a song that I did listen to every single morning without fail in season 1. For whatever reason, was You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette. I don't know why, but I would also I would just blast that 24/7. So yeah, that. I also listened to a lot of All By Myself by Celine Dion.
Wow.
I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston. I was it was a very dramatic season.
True.
Very dramatic.
That's nice.
Like that. And Tyroe, so obviously Theo went through quite a lot last season. It was a bit of a journey, and this is maybe my perspective, having watched the first 3 episodes, but I'm sort of seeing him develop in a real James Dean, rebellious kind of side to him. He's off to sort of do his own thing. And just wondering if you could comment on that. I know we can't sort of get into spoilers territory, but I thought it was quite a departure from season 1. He's a bit, he's been through a lot and he's not doesn't want to follow others. So if you could just sort of talk about do you see him as a bit of a rebel this season, or how do you see him shaping up?
I think it's more or less, I wouldn't say he's a rebel, but I feel like there's nothing for him to go against, because I feel like he has nothing this season. This season for Theo is exploring the idea of grief and what is grief. It's not linear. There's no real pattern to it. Some days are worse than others, and I think the thing with Theo is I think it kind of explores the idea of like life is always moving. No matter what's going on, what's happened to you, you can't stop time, and things are always moving. And I think he's just trying to push on and live. And I think those scenes with Galadriel at the end of last season kind of gave him an insight of like, this is someone who's gone through so much and so much pain, and yet she's still fighting. And I think he draws on that, and that's something that inspires him to become the man I think he hopes to be.
Yeah, just keep pushing through. And obviously you're a bit of a stunt man. You got thrown around first, and I know there is some stuff that I sort of won't talk about due to spoilers, but you've got more stunts for you this season. You're gonna I know there are some very big characters, shall we say, but more of that for you. And just curious to learn more about that.
I can definitely say there's quite a bit of wire work. A lot of swinging around and flying around in not actual flying, but I think the kind of action this season with Theo is very different to the first season, but he always ends up in some sort of trouble, and he just has to wait for Arondir to save him, so that's what he might do.
But I know my time's counting down, so just one last thing I wanted to ask. Obviously you had the special Sydney premiere streaming last night. It looked amazing. Just how do you think sort of fans, down in the Southern Hemisphere really embraced the show, and what do you hope they can get out of it this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was I did not expect the amount of people that were there to start with. I think it was a very, something I'm so grateful for, and obviously, this is Australia's where I grew up, so it's always really lovely to see people embracing a series or getting excited about a series that we're part of. So it was a truly incredible experience, and obviously people had some family and friends, so lovely rallying together and supporting each other. Yeah,
it's kind of like we're all from Australia, the 3 of us, so it means all the fan support means a lot, but there is something extra special when it's your home. And because we've made it, we made the first season in New Zealand and felt so embraced by everyone, the crews, but also just the people of New Zealand. Lord of the Rings is in the blood of everyone there, and it gave us an amazing foundation. And we've filmed this second season so far away, so to then come back and be and there's all these fans here, it's mind blowing to think that the show travels that far. So this part of the world will always mean the most to us, I would imagine, of any part of the world.
Very cool. Well, look, my time is sort of coming to an end. I just want to say thank you so much for talking to me. I really enjoyed the second season. From what I've seen, it's looking amazing. I can't wait to see what happens next. So.
Thank you for your questions. Your questions were so interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really great.
It was great to be awesome. Thanks,
All the
guys.
best.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sam. Cheers.
Sooner or later, Sauron's eye bores a hole. The rest of him slithers in.
You sought peace. I gave it to you. This is hardly a gift. What have you done to me? What have you done to me? Who are you? Truly, I am the one keeping the storm at bay.
Sauron is my enemy as much as yours. I can help you destroy him.
I will not stop until this is put right.
Every soul in the seen or unseen world will know that it was you who was the architect of their demise.
At this moment, the great tale of our age is being written.
You think it was only you who put yourself in my power? Galadriel.